Hello, and welcome to Gamer Premonitions, Pokemon Edition. Today we're going to talk about the upcoming Pokemon 8th Gen game on the Nintendo Switch that we know absolutely nothing about. I have with us, as usual, KZ Excellent from kzexcellent.com. How are you doing?
I'm alive.
Bob Video Games from GigaBoots.com.
Hey guys, what's up?
And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
Let it not be said that knowing absolutely nothing will not stop us from running our mouths.
It's true. We're here to do the exact opposite. So, basically what we're doing is we're all way ahead of any marketing material or leaks coming out, putting it down on the line and saying exactly what's going to be in that game. Bob, how confident are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm for sure. I'm for sure.
Oh, yeah. KZ, you feeling confident?
That's it.
That level, got it. Okay. But before we can give you our amazing premonitions, we need to talk to Mr. Feel about what is Pokemon?
Well, Dan, Pokemon is a niche game franchise owned by Nintendo. An obscure franchise beginning in 1996, it definitely isn't the largest game franchise in the world, with cross-media properties in the form of toys, candy, television shows, movies, and more. It also doesn't have dozens upon dozens of spin-offs in every genre, from fighting game to dungeon crawler to historical strategy game. Of course, a niche franchise like Pokemon could never be one of the most profitable intellectual properties on Earth. So Dan, have you heard of Pokemon?
Yes, I have, but unfortunately I've been informed by many game journalists that Pokemon's a dumb game for babies and that it should not be given the serious attention that a game like Skyrim warrants. Bob, have you heard of Pokemon?
Once or twice.
So we have 4 premonitions as per usual. What we're going to predict are 3 preset categories of region, enemy team, and a mandatory Pokemon concept where each of the 4 hosts of this podcast have to come up with their own design concept behind a Pokemon, including an embarrassing drawing, which you can find in the description below. But don't spoil that for you. Don't open that until we're talking about that part. And then a 4th prediction that's going to be miscellaneous, like whatever people want to talk about or think is important, that's going to be in the next game. So I guess we need to get started. I'll go ahead and start with my region. I think the 8th gen Pokemon game is going to try to contrast a lot with the Sun and Moon game being a cheerful, touristy thing. And as such, it's probably going to lean more towards an actually gritty or darker tone. And the region is going to mildly influence this. I think the region is going to be somewhere where, you know, for the first time since about 1st gen, well, there were a couple times, I think, since then, but they might have multiple characters really reference the fact that this country, this region you're in for Pokemon was kind of a part of a war before this, and that there's now peace in the region. So you sort of, in some of the areas of this region, you see war-torn cities and a lot of places reclaimed by nature. You also see a very uneven distribution of wealth. So you get your standard Pokemon metropolises, but then you get more small cities than you would normally get, and they're further apart with more antiquated hardware that's just lying around on the side of the road, that sort of thing. So I think it's going to be influenced by perhaps Germany, and if not Germany, then maybe Russia. I think that's what they're going to go with this time, just to give it a tone that's a little bit darker. I don't think, don't sit here and think I'm thinking those like Pokemon fan games or fan projects that are way too gritty and hardcore. I think it's still going to have a light tone to it.
The Dark Souls of Pokemon.
Yeah, it's not going to be that. It's
Finally, the series learns to grow up.
You're gonna be a sad dad, and your little girl is gonna accompany you around as you see the horrors Pokemon has caused.
There will be a very touching scene where the enemy team leader kills your daughter's starter Pokemon, and you have to help her deal with the trauma.
You have to take her to a Pokemon Center to heal her soul. So then she just goes around petting other people's Pokemon. And then you swear vengeance.
The Elite Four are just therapists.
The Elite Four are just war criminals. But yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see a more Days of Ruin, like Advance Wars sort of style to this. but a little bit
So
more
will this kill
lighthearted.
this franchise?
No, I think they're gonna find a way to spin it that works. I part of the reason
Okay.
part of the reason I think they would do this is because Pokemon likes to do, weirdly enough, especially in 6th gen. Hey, we're gonna tackle a sort of a social concept, a hot social topic like the 1%. How are we gonna do that in the worst way possible? But they're gonna drench it in so much anime that it's fine that they're addressing the 1% because, hey, you're in France and it's fine and this guy lives forever and look at these 2 pretty birds that he wants to fuck.
Did you finish Sun and Moon?
No, I did not finish.
Sun and Moon gets into child abuse.
Nice.
Child abuse is tight.
Oh my god, Dan.
It also features the biggest act of cowardice that the Pokemon Company will ever do.
Okay, I'm curious. Go ahead.
So the villain, Lusamine,
Mm-hmm.
at least I assume that's how that's pronounced, she fuses with one of the Ultra Beasts and is like inside it.
Okay.
And it's framed exactly like you're about to kick the shit out of her personally. But then she just transformed into that for no reason and you have a normal Pokemon battle.
Oh.
Like she literally does some Shin Megami Tensei shit where she fuses with the demon and her hair color changes and her eyes bug out and she's inside this giant jellyfish and normal Pokemon battle.
And then she just throws a Pokeball.
Wait, man, I don't even remember that. Was that only Ultra? Or that's regular?
No, it was in both of them. Let me link a picture of this bullshit she turns into that you don't get to fight.
Actually, I think in Ultra Sun and Moon, she doesn't even have that happen because they
They walk back the child abuse angle real hard in Ultra Sun and Moon.
they walk like the last arc of that game back and just do a completely different conclusion, final area, and boss.
There's that bullshit.
Yeah, I knew the anime took a totally different
That's,
direction with it, so I'm really not surprised.
That's an interesting thing. But yeah, that's my guess for region. Let's go ahead and go with Feel next. So, Mr. Feel, what is your concept for the region?
Well, I looked at all the previous regions and I noticed that usually with regions, they kind of seem to go, here's what Japan will like. Because the first 4 were all Japan.
Yep.
Then Black and White was America, which is still popular with Japan.
Yep.
And then France, and then Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
So, keeping with that, I think the most likely candidate for Gen 8's region is going to be Italy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I
'Cause
can see that.
That was actually one of
Italy is-
my choices too, but luckily I did more than one.
Italy is, it's very popular in Japanese culture. They really like all the food and stuff. It's so popular that part 5 of JoJo is the most popular part over there.
And isn't there also a whole season of Lupin there?
Yeah, there's a whole season of Loop.
Yeah, I think there's a whole season of Lupin in
Yeah.
Italy.
And they made a special cut for Japan and Italy. Like they each have their own distinct version of that for some reason.
And Italy is also like it's like the second biggest importer of manga and anime. It goes like France, Italy, US.
Wow.
So I think Italy's a pretty likely choice. You can have they can have the Rome-esque main city. They can have cafes and parlor and it can basically be like Generation 6 but good
Yeah, that's all I can
in terms of a lot of the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of, historical stuff they can pull from for various Pokemon types. And since it's, close to France, they can have Kalos regional variants of those Pokemon, even though there's only like 3 that are worth it. So yeah, I think Italy.
You're talking the key ring is the one that's worth it, right?
Maybe not the key ring. I actually have some thoughts on that, but that's for when we discuss
Okay.
our Pokemon.
Oh, okay. So that's a pretty good prediction. We'll go to Bob so that way Bob, who has been robbed of one of his regional choices, doesn't get double robbed. Hey, Bob.
Hey,
True, I do have that wild card.
I've got, for my region, my main pick was Australia. And this really roots from just how many crazy animals there are there. The fact that so many have already been made into Pokemon.
Yeah.
So this will be the Pokemon Gen where they introduce the survival system where you can just die because every Pokemon can kill you.
Yeah, of course. That's
You have to walk across the outback, and if you don't keep your hydration levels up, you just collapse and die of exposure.
But yeah, there are a few things I'm like, okay, the Sydney Opera House, that looks like something the Pokemon Company would want to make into a Pokemon level. Like that just reeks of the same sort of atmosphere that, say, like the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
It turned into that
Yeah, a
other
lot of-
tower inside of Pokemon. I can't remember their version.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was in the main city in 6th Gen. Yeah,
And it also has the
Yeah,
Great
it's a
Barrier
stage and
Reef.
smash.
it is a stage
It
and
is a
smash,
stage
and
and
it's a
smash.
good one.
But
Don't
yeah, it
listen
also-
to Spaceman's lies.
It also has the Great Barrier Reef, which is just prime for being like an amazing surf segment. And
Oh, you have the surf segments. Always the best part of any Pokemon game.
look, you can redesign it. You can make it good.
It's
You
my
can make-
favorite part to just stop playing.
Maybe they'll bring back going underwater for the Great Barrier Reef and we have a whole underwater dungeon.
that would be pretty great.
And the only Pokemon there is that region's equivalent of a tentacle, which is literally just that region's version of a tentacle.
No, it's just
No,
the
it's,
Manowar. It just kills you.
it's,
Look at you and you die.
It's a Zubat with a scuba suit on.
Yes. There's also stuff like Iris Rock, which is really cool. It's this giant sandstone like mountain formation that changes like at dawn and dusk. It turns bright red. It's really neat, and I figured that's another thing that Pokemon
Wait,
Company
that's
could
a
just.
real thing?
That's a real thing.
I thought Yu-Gi-Oh! GX made that up.
I'm sorry,
Fucking
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is not that inventive. But yeah, I just feel like there's a ton of opportunities for cool things to do with Australia.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good. Okay, I guess we're moving on to KZ. KZ, what is the 8th Gen Pokemon's region?
All right. So what I've written here is I made the region and kind of also outlined how the game kind of works, because that feels like it goes hand in hand with the region. So the region I decided would be based on Spain, because that seemed like an interesting location with more of a focus on cities and some light surfing areas, but not as much as Hoenn, for example, since
Yeah.
that was just that was a little extreme.
Just-
I
just
would
a
have
little.
written more about the location of Spain, but that would require me to not be American. So unfortunately, I don't have much else.
Americans just all knowledge of foreign countries just bounce off the skulls of Americans.
Well, how many Tauros do you have to stab?
That is basically the only thing I had in here, the running of the Tauros. Which would have been some sort of event where you try to catch as many Tauros as possible.
I think the cruelest thing that could happen is if KZ's right. Like if E3 happens and KZ's like, yeah! That
I
would
will
be,
lose my fucking mind.
that would be fucking hilarious.
So will there be a El Kaganer Pokemon? I don't know how to listen. This is a foreign word that I've never pronounced before. Please
What's
do not bully me.
what's the word?
It is a special ornament, Christmas ornament from Catalonia and Spain.
Oh yeah, no, I have no idea.
Maybe. We'll see.
The gimmick is it's an additional figure in the what's it called when the nativity scene of a man taking a shit behind a bush. It literally means the crapper. And there are thousands of these ornaments. They're a huge cultural thing.
Of course you know this. So, I had some structure stuff in here.
Okay.
Since Pokemon Sun and Moon did away with gyms, it seems that in general the mainline games just don't want to do them for a little while.
Yeah.
So instead we'll have this game's version of gyms, which is totally what the Sun and Moon things are, where they just kind of changed what they're about.
Yeah.
This time it's going to be focused on dungeons just like the previous one, but this time instead of kahunas, they will be sages, each representing a type.
Mm-hmm.
Beating each of them will give you a medal. And once you head to what would be this version's champion area, if you have all 7, you go to the league. But there is no Elite Four for this game.
Oh.
Instead, they will do an 8-man tournament bracket of various characters you meet throughout the game, including your rival for the championship, which I thought would be an interesting twist that would also make refights more interesting because you could fight completely different people.
Yeah, that is an interesting
That'd be
idea.
really interesting.
And it would lead to some people saying, I beat the game, but I fought a psychic person at the end of the game. And someone said, I fought something completely different as my final boss. And that's pretty much all I have written for my region.
And that really fits considering that ever since to a minor extent in 5th gen, but much more in 6th and 7th, they've been basically saying now you have multiple rivals. Because in Sun and Moon you had Gladion, and then you had How.
Yes, How.
Who I almost completely forgot because he's forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
He is important.
And then in 6th gen you had whatever the other trainer was, and then
You had like a whole team of
you
other
had
trainers.
Fucking little
but the
rascals.
only one you they all sucked. That was the fucking worst.
Yes.
It really was.
The only one you fought was the other version you could pick when you
No,
picked,
you
like, your
also
character.
also battled the fat kid who danced.
It's true. I used
Is it?
to
Because I don't remember most of that game because it wasn't very good.
I think you also battled Ginger Afro Kid at least once too.
I think that's correct. I'm less sure on the Ginger Afro Kid, but guys, I used to hate Wally as a rival, 3rd gen guy. At first because I hated him, and later on because I felt enormously bad for him.
Yeah.
6th gen made me think Wally is a fucking all-star character, and more gens need a Wally.
I was about to ask you, did you play the remix, the remake where they remix this song with rock music, and they make him the biggest Chad?
I did play the remake. I didn't walk away with the Chad aura image that you have of Wally.
I was
but
gonna
I can-
say, I
does
saw
he-
Wally a few
so-
times. How what?
So in the remake, does he not just stop being your rival halfway through the game like he does in the originals?
He does keep fighting you until really close to the end.
They moved him because I believe in the originals he was at the beginning of Victory Road, but they moved him to the end in
Yeah.
the remakes. They gave him like a special cool battle arena, and he has a mega Gallade.
It's true.
Doesn't he just go around in pajamas?
Yeah, with a butt flap.
He's Pete. He's walking around with Maleficent.
He's gyrating at you.
Wally wants to battle.
In the original, you battle him twice, and that's it,
You battle
And one
him.
of them is a level 16 Ralts.
and nothing else.
I thought
So
it
you
was
basically only battle him once.
I think you battled him 3 times, but either way, you didn't battle him very often. One of those times was really depressing because it was his dad who's just like, "Can you beat up my son so that way he'll learn he's not good enough?" And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, he has anime wasting disease. Like all those little sisters and moms.
Oh my god.
Well, that's what he has. He has the ambiguous disease where he has anemia
It's
and has to
true.
stay in bed a lot, but he never actually dies.
But it's such a sad disease. If only somebody could anime cure it. Okay, we should move on to enemy team. Which, we don't, unless you guys want to cover it in your 4th idea, just like KZ did. In the enemy team section, you could totally cover what you think the structure of the gyms or elite is going to be.
Yeah, I needed to fill out my region in some way, and I thought it'd be a good way to like hammer down concepts.
Yeah.
KZ was afraid to look at Wikipedia for Spain and figure out what was even there.
He was like, tacos. Wait, do they even have those, or is that Mexico? Oh, fuck. Then
You're blowing my fucking mind right now, Dan.
Then he ate a crunch wrap and he calmed down. But hey Bob, what's your concept for your enemy?
Oh
team?
yeah, sure. My team is because we're in Australia.
Yes.
It's inspired by.
Sorry, Bob, if you're gonna say it's not Australia, it's
I'm not gonna put the audience through that.
Australia.
I'm not gonna do that to the
Okay,
audience.
fine,
They
then
will,
you-
they will just insult me to no end.
No, that's how they say it there.
I get that, but I'll say it wrong.
No, it's fine. With Feel here, you'll say things pretty correct compared to,
Yeah, compared to me.
But yeah, my enemy team is inspired by Mad Max. Feel like it's gonna have a heavy aura of them driving around in their like pimped up cars, but it's gonna be kind of like a Japanese take on it. So it's gonna be more mixed with biker or Japanese biker gangs. where things are a little bit cleaner looking, and they have pompadours.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bob,
What's up?
I gotta ask, what's their name?
I didn't come up with a name.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not that bold.
Okay, I've been waiting this whole time. It's gonna be Team Boomerang. It's gonna be Team Boomerang because it's Australia.
I thought you were gonna say Team Boomer.
Team Vegemite.
Sure, Team Mad Boomerangs.
Team Fosters.
God, no, they're not. They're not just all drunk. But the
And
team's
the
always
leader is Mr. Prime Minister.
Did you just say your team, which is everyone from Mad Max, isn't drunk?
Look. Those guys weren't drunk. They were.
They were.
There was something far worse wrong with them.
Okay, that's
Yeah, they
true.
were Australian.
Yep.
Look, they just had a little PCP with their beer.
Right. And since all teams have like a theme behind them, mine was going to be that their whole thing is anarchy and wanting for people to live like wild Pokemon.
Okay.
They're that far out there.
So they're like Team Plasma, but stupid.
Yes, they're dumb Team Plasma. I'll allow it.
And I also saw, as a side note, that it'd be really neat if the team didn't used to be so bad, and that you had some sort of side story of the main character was actually formerly part of the team, just so there'd be a bit more actually knowing these people that he has to interact with. That could be an interesting angle to it, and then they could go with the slightly older, like 5th gen protagonist, like 16 to 18 range.
Okay, I'm digging it.
And of course, it's also we like I talked about before. They have the reef. We're gonna have to have some Waterworld inspired like jet skis for the enemies, and yeah, that's mine.
Okay. Well, if it's okay with the other two, I'm good to go with my enemy team.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
So my team's called Team Rust. They are a team of ex-military types where, they were more actively employed during the war. But now things have calmed down since then, and it's supposed to be peaceful, and Pokemon battling isn't supposed to be done for like militaristic reasons or crime anymore. It's a sport. And as this region opened up to the rest of the world, it became more normalized as a sport, but that wasn't good enough for Team Rust. So they're a bit more terroristic in their leanings than some past teams. Like they're definitely more extreme than Team Rocket ever fucking was. And their leader is going to be a huge, heavily bearded name. His name is Buck, and he's going to be your dad. Because what the story will be is your main character will be coming back to the region after having left during the tail end of the war, like you and your mother left. And when you come back, you're gonna go through most of this game, and your dad is going to be the leader of Team Rust, and that's gonna be a late game reveal. It's gonna be gripping and emotional.
Now I'm clapping.
Or in as much as Pokemon can ever execute that. Oh, and you get upset because your kid sister's Pokemon died, and no,
This
This
is a
really
lot more.
This really is sounding like a Pokemon ROM hack I've played.
yeah,
This
I
is
know.
This is almost as touching and disturbing as in Sun and Moon, where your mom fucks the Meowth.
But here's the thing, like I don't think any of this is going to be in the way that you would expect in a ROM hack, where it's like gripping and people are cursing and dying and whatever. Like that level of edge, I feel like it's the Pokemon level of covering the 1%. So that's sort of, we're covering this and this is your dad, but you're just steadfast in your belief that he should stop, and you fight him, and then it resolves that. It's kind of like if imagine if the immortal guy from 6th Gen had a point.
Instead of nothing.
Instead of nothing. Instead of, yeah, that guy wants to fuck the bird on the cover of this box.
It's not a bird. There was no bird in sixth gen, Dan.
Yveltal.
It was like a weird flower thing.
No, the 6th Gen legendary for Y is Yveltal.
Yeah, but he didn't want that. He wanted his weird thing.
It depends on which version you got, I'm pretty sure.
That isn't Yveltal is a deer.
No, that's Xerneas. Yveltal is
Is
the
it?
yeah.
No, I think the X one is the bird.
No, X is the deer.
Yeah, just look it up.
Why is the bird?
Yeah, Y's the bird. I know because I had
Oh, okay,
Y.
I was
He wants to
wrong.
fuck that bird, and then if you have X, he wants to fuck that deer.
I thought he had some other separate
No,
Pokemon
no, no. He
from
wants
the
to fuck.
legendaries.
There's
He
this
wants to
little.
fuck the
There's
rose.
this.
Yeah.
There's this little
Okay.
tiny flower one, because at the end that it comes back and he falls to his knees and is like, "It's been 1,000 years."
Are we talking about the main villain or?
No, the
okay,
guy who
so-
was a king and is immortal.
Yeah, the immortal king of 6
That's
Gen.
not the villain. That's
And he's like 8
AZ,
feet tall.
I believe is his name.
The fucking immortal, the immortal king of 6 Gen. God, that fucking game jumped a shark.
I loved that.
He
No,
needs to
shut
come
up.
back.
That was Kino.
It would have been if it delivered on it. I'm not against an immortal guy
Great.
wandering
He's like
around.
8 foot tall. He is over 3,000 years old according to the Wikipedia article.
It's true, but like his plot line just tapered off and didn't have. It was really frustrating. I that character could have been so cool, but by the end of it, I was just deeply frustrated by how it executed.
X and Y, and to a much lesser extent, Sun and Moon have this thing where it's like they're trying to make Pokemon into Tales of. like it's that level of being weird and anime-esque, but
Yeah.
they didn't really execute it all that well in 6th Gen. They execute it much better in 7th.
Yeah, and that's keep in mind. That's why I'm saying all of these predictions I have for 8th Gen. I think they'll continue their habit of trying to tackle a thing.
Man, I should have gone with
No, I very much agree. They're not going to be walking back this anime shit.
I should have predicted the next one will be on the moon.
Okay. So KZ, what's up with your enemy team?
Oh yeah, enemy teams. My team is Team Gem. Their aesthetic is going to be a bit more pompous and graceful in terms of like goals and stuff. They want to awaken a gem-related legendary Pokemon that'll be on the box. That is
Okay.
going to be the quote-unquote birthright of their leader, who assumes that their superior bloodline makes them the leader of the world.
So
And unlike most teams, they will just multi-type for their entire class. They're not going to use the shitty Pokemon like every team does. They will go with the more rare Pokemon of that region.
But they'll also be
So
bad,
what-
just
so-
rare.
So, like, as an example, like if this team was theoretically in Viridian Forest, they'd be using Pikachu's because that's the rarest Pokemon you can catch in.
Yeah,
Viridian
you would
Forest.
be
Man.
fighting less common things you would find in the wild against them, and they wouldn't go for like doubles of the same type of thing.
oh, that's cool.
And then each admin would be named after different stones.
So I gotta ask about your team leader. He's convinced, or she is convinced, it's their birthright to lead the world, and they need this gem. Is it Gil from Street Fighter 3, and/or are they painted two different colors, split down the middle? How crazy are we going?
Well, what happens is that after you beat them in the final Pokemon battle, they resurrect, and then you have to fight them again.
I would fucking shit my pants.
That I'd lose my fucking. The only way you could get me more on board is if In showed up somehow, because that's
Right.
similar to his bullshit.
Yeah.
Like he resurrects, and then his team comes back, but they're totem Pokemon now. They just get
Oh my
supercharged.
God.
Now I'm like, man, imagine if there was some dope shit like that for the immortal guy. No, don't think about the immortal guy.
Hey, don't worry. You had Lysandre, the leader of Team Flare, who was the descendant of AZ,
I didn't know that.
and he died. It was Raw. I saw that. I read this Wikipedia that said he was his younger brother's descendant.
Huh. Weird.
I'd say it's Kino, but that game wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't. Feel. What's up with your enemy team?
All right. Well,
Oh no.
I actually have two because. Well, let me explain.
Oh, I think I get where you're going.
First is there's the obvious one because it's Italy. You have the Mafia, which I don't know what they'd be called because it wouldn't be Team something. It would be some term that would not just be Cosa Nostra, because I imagine that would probably not be allowed by Nintendo
Probably
to just
not.
directly call it with the Mafia, call the Mafia.
No.
But you'd have the Mafia as one side, and the other side would be a cult that has dug into the society of that region, and the leader of the Mafia side would be this old man who turns out to be Giovanni's father.
Nice.
And at one point, you team up with Giovanni to battle the cult leader.
Kino.
You're going. See, that works. That works because they love Kanto.
They love Kanto, and Giovanni's already an Italian name, and he already looks like a mafia boss.
Yep.
And they consistently portray him as not like an anti-hero, or not like, they portray him like he loses and he goes, man, you got me. I'm going to leave and go make another plan. I'll
Yeah.
get you next time.
Yeah.
And there's like a weird obsession with him because in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you travel back in time specifically to battle him.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Ultra Sun and Moon, he just pops up from another dimension and is like, I made all the other team leaders from every other game my bitch.
That was the best part of that game, Team Rainbow Rocket.
That's still insane.
And also,
It's
he's like,
so good.
he's the biggest Chad in the world in Pokemon Special. It's just like unbelievable the levels of Chad Giovanni is in that manga.
I really do like the team having a hook back into an older Pokemon game. Like, I think that's super likely.
Yeah, the story would, the idea would be that Giovanni left because he didn't like how his father was running things. And then he comes back when the cult is kicking the shit out of the mafia.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was raw enough when they brought him back in Ultra Sun and Moon, and he has a Mewtwo in that. It's all great.
It's incredible. And the funny thing, and when you beat him, he's like, this goes into the weird nobility thing. When you beat him, he has his guys convert the building he took over back into a normal building.
It was probably, it's my favorite of their post-game story things they try to do in the past few games, because I didn't care much for the whatever Delta Emerald that they did. in
Oh
Horus.
yeah, where Dioxys is gonna blow up the meteor or whatever the hell it was.
I mean, the idea of getting in a spacesuit and riding Rayquaza to space, that was cool. But overall, I just enjoyed every part of this, where you fight every leader from every team and then take on Giovanni.
Another angle to this is they keep bringing up world police in these games that never really do anything.
Yeah.
That's
So you could bring up world police again, like they're fighting the mafia and they're pursuing this cult.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell's
Lord
that?
Looker.
What? Yeah, I was gonna say, what the hell's that guy's name? So they can bring
Yeah.
back Pokemon Zenyatta. Or not Zenyatta, Zenigata.
Zenigata.
Yeah, you're thinking of Overwatch.
Well, yeah, they're gonna bring back Overwatch.
Finally.
Soldier 76 is gonna be in this game.
Finally, you're doomed, Dan.
And he's gonna find love.
But yeah, that's my team take.
Okay, so I guess that means we're moving on to mandatory Pokemon concepts. KZ,
Oh no.
you can go ahead and lead this round.
Of course I have to.
Post your drawing in the Discord.
Yeah,
so
we have
can
to
all
see it in
shame
the
you.
Discord, and then
Okay.
it'll be posted in the description for the people watching on YouTube, and it will also be on screen for anyone who wants to look at it.
All right. So, the idea, because I'm gonna set it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Of course, you're going to do this.
So throughout Pokemon, you have a mix between natural, like animal hybrids,
Mm-hmm.
but then you also have stuff that's based on objects or human creations. This is a human creation type of thing.
Okay.
And I was thinking, well, what would my region's equivalent of keys be?
I was gonna say yes, 2 keychains.
And I was like, well, my only choice is this, which I've called Bulbion, the light bulb Pokemon.
The eyes are fucking God.
Are they stolen from?
I worked really hard on those eyes.
I'm stroking out.
I worked really hard on these. So to show you the detail, it's a light bulb with it's got a little crown, some horns. You see the little part inside the light bulb? It
Is it a
creates
beak?
its own little Pokeball outline.
Oh, okay.
So you know it's a Pokemon. It is it's electric steel type, and its ability and everything is dealt with a form change, where it has a move that it can activate called Switch Flip,
Mm-hmm.
and when you do that, it goes from being more toward doing special attacks and that kind of stuff with electricity. And when it's off, it isn't lit up anymore and is more focused upon physical attacks that make use of its steel typing.
Thank you for your courage. in being
Good
here
idea.
today. And I do think that is definitely a key ring tier Pokemon. So thank you for the anime eyes that are ruining me.
It also doesn't evolve.
Of course it doesn't.
Because it's peak performance. It's perfect right now.
Perfect as it is.
This
just
is
like
its final
Farfetch'd.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got a good EV spread.
No, but it could evolve into a full like a halogen. That would be great.
It evolves into an OLED.
Well, that's my Pokemon. I made sure not to disappoint.
The Pokedex entry says that trainers seek it out for its low input latency.
Yeah, it has really good speed stat and evasiveness.
Okay, so I guess I'll go second.
Okay.
So as I was talking about, my region's Germany inspired. It's post-war country, and as I mentioned before, there are some places that are just fucked in the whole craters sort of areas, and there are other areas where like nature and stuff's reclaimed a city that's been completely abandoned.
So it's The Last of Us.
It is, I guess you could say, it's The Last of Us. But
We really were the last of us, Ellie.
we really were The Last of Us, Pikachu. So my Pokemon is a grass steel type. It's going to show that balance of nature reclaiming what was once technology. And here's the picture. You can see it now. It is a German-style telephone booth that has been overgrown with nature and rust.
Oh my god! This dude's jacked!
This is so. Look, he has like a fucking Trogdor arm.
Right? And the handle that once let you open the booth has now grown into an arm that it uses to drag itself around.
Maybe I need to see what the telephone booth looks over there.
Oh my god!
What?
Okay, this needs to be like Pokemon Let's Go, where they follow around and it drags itself by fucking doing the arm and just like dragging it like that really fast.
Oh my god!
And its name is Box Peak.
Damn, this stole
it has an ability called Long Distance. Long Distance makes it so any move that would normally take 2 turns to occur only takes 1, completely breaking the balance. But he can only learn so many of those types of moves where it normally takes 2 turns. So it's controlled balance-wise a little bit by that. But the counter cost to this is that it takes twice as much PP to use 2-turn moves. So you can get out those really strong hits really fast with Long Distance, but you'll burn through it really fast. And that's my Pokemon with its completely original name, Box Peak.
Box Peak is quite good.
Bob, do you have a Pokemon to share?
I got a Pokemon here. All right.
Box Peak is
I'll
quite
get
good.
ready to post it. So Australia actually has some legends. I looked up some of those, of course.
They're very urban.
There's
no
this,
alcohol.
There's this thing. I think it's from the native tribe before anything else happened. Called the rainbow serpent.
Whoa!
So I kind of based my design on that. See,
You didn't just take broken appliance.
You're shit rainbows.
Does it fly? Is that
Yeah,
what's happening here? It's a,
Oh my god!
it's a fucking snake that shoots rainbows out of its ass and flies.
The snake is going. Movie suit.
Please don't mention movie suit.
And when you open your Pokemon box, it will be me.
he's gonna be. His skin is all
did
solid
you make
white.
this today or when you were 12?
The notebook paper really completes this.
It does. This has a very 3rd grade aura to it.
It has a Chad 3rd grader energy to it.
I'm sad that Bob had markers and not the 128 Crayola big box.
Right, no, if I had crayons, it would have been better. I know.
This was on short notice, unfortunately.
This was amazing. This is the best.
Throw off.
This is the best video we will ever make.
You better put these on screen as we talk about them.
It's too much. Oh my god.
I'm gonna pass out.
So he's a solid white snake that like I can't draw it that well, so I'm gonna describe it.
No, this is great.
His skin is basically floating in the air, and you see rainbows under his flurling skin.
Oh.
So I thought that would be neat. I couldn't depict that at all here, but and he's a water fairy type because there's lots of stories about this guy bring water to a region, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay. What's his name?
I didn't come up with the name. Oh no!
But he's so beautiful. He can't go unnamed.
Oh no, Bob.
Oh no!
That's how this works. You have to also name your Pokemon. Otherwise, his name is Gerald.
And Gerald, the rainbow snake.
No, movie
Snake Bow. He's just Snake Bow. That's fine.
Snake Bow. Okay.
Okay, good.
Snake
You
Bow's
got
very
it
beautiful.
before I
Bow's
could
pretty
say
good.
movie snake.
Oh man. Now I'm to understand that the three of us only brought one Pokemon design.
Yeah, that was what was assigned to us. A Pokemon concept.
Phil, how many Pokemon did you design?
5. But so that sounds let me clarify. So it's less insane. I designed 2 regional variants and 3 original ones.
Oh, that sounds
So much less insane.
That's yeah. I feel like you're cheating if you get to do 5 concepts and people are like, "Well, obviously you won."
Okay, let's start with the simple one. That's the regional
Honedge.
a regional Honedge. It's a rapier, like an Italian fencing sword.
Or how it reads to me, Hondiasi.
That's good. Oh my god.
It does evolve. It goes into Doublade, which is just 2 of them, and then for Aegislash, instead of a shield, it gets a parrying dagger.
Ooh.
Not gonna lie, the idea of Honedge just being a rapier is brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And are we doing? Am I unloading everything here? Or
Sure,
go
ahead.
Doing 2. Okay, here's the other regional one. It's regional Smeargle.
I can't fucking feel.
Is that Jatim was a hat?
Yeah.
He has a hat already. He's
a little doughy.
He has a beard that's also a paintbrush like Leonardo da Vinci,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a smock,
Yep.
and he has a palette now.
It's really fucking
So basically,
good.
he's a more unlike Honedge, which I did come up with differences between them for the record. Honedge has much lower defense than the Kalos version, but much higher speed.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is Smeargle is a psychic type rather than a normal type.
Oh, okay. Thank you for saving Smeargle from normal type.
Yeah, the only good normal type Pokemon is Snorlax.
Now that his brain is so big, he can be a psychic type.
I like Vigoroth. Porygon.
Now here's the one that I showed somebody and they lost their shit.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is original or a regional?
Original.
Ah, okay, original. Got it.
Oh no.
This it's called Tiramisu. It is a Pokemon based on the tiramisu dessert.
Oh yeah, it is. Does it get more defense from that plate?
It has really high defense and special defense, but really low speed. It is a poison / fairy type.
Oh my god. Feel, I've already figured out how this works. Because these are Switch games and the Pokemon will run with you, it moves by spinning.
That's probably likely. I was kind of imagining it bouncing in a very gelatinous sort of way.
Oh, I assumed it'd be in a plate and it would just spin.
Oh, it is, but it like bounces with the plate's part of its body.
See, if the
course
plate
it is.
if the
Oh.
plate spins,
What if it has little
right?
shoes?
Casey, we could talk all day
See-
about what if Pokemon had little shoes. It would always be
That
amazing,
could
but
be
we have
its
to move
own
on.
Podcast.
And here's the Pidgey equivalent that I designed.
Okay.
Ooh.
So the regional Pidgey.
This name is not final, for the record.
Okay.
Okay. Tentative.
So it's supposed to be a stained glass bird because
Bird, yeah.
alabaster windows is a variant
Yeah.
of
Oh.
stained glass. So it's called
Oh.
Alabertster.
I'm
Yeah,
just thinking
no,
of that
I got
other
it.
bird.
I honestly, his pose made me think he was like in one of those fashion shows.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. I was like, is he walking the runway? And then I noticed the sharp angles on the feathers and was like, oh, he's nice. Okay, I get it.
And he's just a normal flying type. I'm not sure if he evolves. He probably doesn't. He's probably like well, maybe he has one evolution. He's more like the Spearow equivalent.
I think his defense really low because he's made of glass.
Yes, his speed is incredibly high. And his
Right.
special attack is very high,
Cool.
but his defense is very low.
So you use a hyper beam and then you're dead.
And that's it for him.
Yeah.
Some like colorful steel wing attack.
Now here's the most horrifying one I created.
Okay.
Look at the nose.
Oh my god.
I need a second even from looking at it.
You need to be able to pronounce this.
Oh no, it's pronounced Pizcasso.
like pizza.
It is a horrifying pizza Pokemon with a face on it that isn't really symmetrical. It is a fire ghost type.
Yeah, how is there no pizza Pokemon yet? This is just like this is gonna happen.
I originally was going to make this a spaghetti Pokemon, but then I realized that would be too similar to the flying spaghetti monster.
True.
And also Tangela.
So I went with pizza. That would have been good though, Bob. I could have made a regional Tangela that was made of spaghetti.
Just goes in sauce.
So is it gonna when we get the Pokedex entry for it? Is it gonna say the impressionist pizza Pokemon?
Yes.
Will there be multiple pizzas you can get with different toppings so they have different types?
No, it will be like it'll be like that butterfly from 6th Gen,
Oh.
where regions and times and seasons make the wings different. Depending on those, the toppings will be different.
Oh wow. Here I was thinking you would find items that they have to hold to change form.
I thought it'd be easy and just be like those
Hold
monkeys.
this pepperoni berry.
Exactly. Either that or like in that one gen where you take Eevee up to the mossy stone in order to make it into Leafeon, like one of those things. So you take Pete's Casso up to a bowl of marinara.
You have to gather the ingredients to have a chef make you marinara sauce.
Oh my god. There's mini games.
You can have them make white sauce.
Okay. I think I'm gonna be okay, you guys.
I feel like this pizza Pokemon's gonna fill out the entire roster of Pokemon.
You deal more damage to certain Pokemon that are allergic.
It has an ability where if it takes fatal damage, it just gets while it has more than half of its life points left, it just gets reduced to half of whatever its current total is.
So, I assume a pepperoni is a normal type. The cheeseless sauce-only pizza is psychic.
That's my favorite pizza.
And then the meat lovers is fighting type.
I'm a psychic type.
Pineapple is dark.
Oh, fuck.
Finally, a controversial statement in this Pokemon podcast.
Jesus Christ.
This thing's made in Japan, so it has to have mayonnaise pizza. What would that
Oh,
be?
fuck. Shit.
That'd be the normal type.
Oh, okay.
Ugh.
Ugh.
If you manage to catch the rare stuffed crust variant, that's a fairy type.
Ugh.
Pizza Hut has such power.
What's deep dish?
Ground.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing that.
You might as well be eating dirt, yeah.
Is New
If
York
you get
style
the
dragon.
if you get the white sauce, it's water type because it's so refreshing.
And the one covered in jalapenos is, of course, fire type.
And there's a stuffed variant that's a ghost type.
I can't keep looking at these Pokemon, so we have to move on. I'm sorry, guys. That's how it works. Oh my god, my head hurts. So now we're at the fourth predictions, which are just our miscellaneous. We get to have a premonition about anything we want. Absolutely anything. If I remember correctly, Feel has not started a round yet.
All right, I'll go. Every Pokemon Gen since 6th, including the remake, has had a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
6th Gen had Mega Evolution.
Yep.
Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire had the Primal thing.
Yeah.
And Sun and Moon had Z moves. So there is actually something in the anime that they have not used that was in the X and Y anime that they just haven't used in the games, which is Bond Phenomenon, which is when Ash's Greninja became Ash-Greninja and had like a vaguely Ash-like color scheme.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yep.
So I think that will be the big gimmick of this gen, and all the team leaders and everything will be able to do it.
Oh, that would be
And
cool.
in addition to that, I think they will let you color your Pokemon this gen because it's all 3D models now. It's not really that big a
Oh.
deal.
Mm-hmm.
They might find some other way to denote shinies, but I think they'll let you take your Pokemon to a stylist and change their color scheme.
You're gonna ruin lives with this mechanic because people will just make the palette of every Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the two big ones that I definitely think Bond Phenomenon is going to get used in the games. I think Z moves will come back in a more limited fashion because they were kind of hilariously overpowered in Sun and Moon because it was
Yeah.
basically just one free kill on anything.
Yeah.
Once a battle, boom.
Yeah.
Maybe they have very limited PP where you can't use it in every single battle.
Or like a real in-game timer of like it hasn't been 30 minutes yet since you used it last. Because, they always implement clock stuff in these Pokemon games, but they have never used it in a combat-relevant way, unless you count Dusk Balls.
I definitely don't think HMs are going to be back. Oh, here's a premonition. Motion controls will not be involved in this game.
So now that we've done Feel 6 premonitions, hey,
Yep.
KZ, would you like to go second?
Sure, I have a few, but not nearly as many as him.
Okay.
But for the subject of the main one, which is the gimmick for this region, Z moves were a pretty good idea in Sun and Moon, and Mega Evolutions were not in the previous gen.
Yeah.
So I feel like, in general, they were pretty well received, the Z moves. So they'll keep them, and that'll still be a thing in the game. They'll weaken them just a little bit to make them, not nearly as catastrophic. But in
Sane.
their place, yeah.
Yeah.
But in their place, they'll add on to it because I think that double battles are going to be pretty common in my vision of this new Pokemon game. So they'll have a new thing called Z Combo, where you'll have two Pokemon once per battle able to do a team up attack. These will obviously be based on types, and they will create a new move, basically a new type of move. So if you combine like fire and water, it might create like a steam type of some sort, which would then give every Pokemon a new set of resistances and weaknesses to particular types
Jesus.
of moves.
Big Dreamers.
So you're combining Psychic and Ghost. You're combining like Fairy and Dark, and it could lead to some really cool looking stuff.
Your premonition is going to give me an aneurysm.
I definitely
yeah.
agree that the combo battles are going to become more common because they were really common in Sun and Moon, and they probably would have been even more common if they didn't make the 3DS fucking explode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that was good. I think Dan had a stroke at the idea of an entirely new type tree based on one mechanic, which I think sounds like something they would totally they could totally do.
I think it's more likely that the combos would just be super effective against anything that was weak to one of the two components rather than
Yeah, I just
creating all these
like the
different-
idea of it being new things just because it would completely divorce it from normal gameplay, because that way it would lead to people going, I don't like this, so I can, they're able to like ignore it.
Yeah.
Also, it sounds raw.
Yeah, it does.
off the top of my head,
hmm.
your idea would require them to come up with, I think, somewhere in the realm of 280 new types.
Yep. That's
Yes,
why I'm getting an
yes.
aneurysm.
Right? I'm like, and then people would be screaming for, I want my Steam Pokemon. And that won't happen and because that's insane.
Turns out Masada just had this idea. He's like, yeah, we should make a Pokemon game where that happens. And then he just left the Pokemon company in the middle of them dealing with it. He's like, well,
yes, the
time to go.
Inafune method.
Yes, the Inafune
Where you
method.
fuck everyone over and then leave.
We're doing it. It's happening. Some of the other things that just random quirks to my potential Pokemon game would have been all your Pokemon follow you around, like Let's Go, and it has that same large range of sometimes you can ride them while they fly around.
Yep.
If it's a water Pokemon that can surf with you properly, you just ride them like that on the water, that kind of stuff. Pokemon are not random battles in the way Let's Go are, because I kind of like the idea that you can just see them in the field.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do in mine as well. Like that was one of mine as well.
That was like a brilliant way to make the game a bit more fun, because random battles never feel good.
It gives people the feeling that the world's alive, and it sort of almost simulates that feeling people want from a Pokemon MMO of like you're just walking places and you see Pokemon everywhere. Like that just feels good at a lizard brain level to just be like,
Yeah,
this
it
forest
does,
is
even
full
if I
of
think-
fucking Pokemon.
Even if I think it looks kind of stupid on the Kanto maps.
Yeah.
It's really great though, because then you'll just look and see like a Mr. Mime just walking around.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
exactly what I was
Yes.
thinking of in
It's
my
so
head. I'm like,
horrifying and amazing.
It's so good. Oh, man.
But I thought that would be good. And in terms of motion controls, since Phil brought it up, I feel like they'll just have two catching methods, and they'll have like a traditional one as the default. But if you play on an easier difficulty, which I think they might introduce in this one,
Yeah.
it will be more catered toward the Let's Go crowd, where you catch it the way you did in Let's Go.
and then the easy mode also has those stupid gym requirements.
Yeah, it'll have those gym requirements, because I really like a lot of stuff in Let's Go where it actually made me want to catch Pokemon, because I never do want to do that. Before
really?
a game comes out, I build my team and go, okay, we'll just run until we get that team and catch next to nothing.
Oh, wow. I'm actually the opposite. The second edition of 5th gen, Black and White, what was it, version 2, they added
It was just called 2, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it was just called Black and White version 2, which was the dumbest shit, because it's like, guys, this isn't a version, this is a whole new game. Anyway, they added that area Pokedex where it let you know if the route, the street, the forest you were in, if you caught all the Pokemon. And then 6th gen didn't. I can't remember. I think 6th gen got rid of it, and then Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire brought it back. That is one of my favorite fucking features that 5th gen added, and it was added in the second version of 5th gen, because it just helps my brain to know, because it has 2 levels of completion. It has that level of completion where it's like, you've caught all of them that are available in your region here, like, or your version here, and then it has the you're completely done sort of thing. It's such a great feature, and I love doing that. And I do agree with you that, like, Let's Go does have some really great ways to incentivize catching more Pokemon than people like yourself would normally do.
Like, normally I don't get very many Pokemon, just catching them in the normal games, but that one, there's like a requirement, I think, for Koga to have 70 Pokemon, and I had 90 by that point, because I'm like, I want everything. You get more experience from catching than you do trainers.
I still don't know how I feel about like your idea of sticking the motion controls in an easy mode actually makes me feel better, because I don't like the idea that we would end
like
up in
keeping over that playstyle, because people paid a decent chunk of money for that Pokeball.
I know multiple people who bought it. I know.
You?
No, I didn't buy it, actually.
You seemed like the kind of guy.
No, I was actually motherfucking furious that the Mew was exclusive to that. That really pissed me off.
What's up, Phil?
Yeah, they sold a bunch of those, but that doesn't mean anything with Nintendo, considering they dumped the Pokewalker in a fucking ditch.
That's true.
I feel like
and
they're going to try and hold on to this at least a little bit more, just because the Switch in
But
itself.
the big question with this is how much it's actually going to share with Let's Go, considering it obviously has been in development a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's been in development for a while. You can tell from looking at Let's Go that it's a more rushed game for a Pokemon game.
Let's Go uses like the same graphical style as Sun and Moon, and I guarantee Generation 8 is not going to use that exact same style.
Definitely not that level of fidelity that's in Let's Go. It might use an approximate style, like something.
I'm sure it'll
neighboring
still
that.
look like Ken Sugimori's art,
Yeah.
because that's what they're going for.
Mhm.
But it'll be much cleaner looking than
Yeah.
like the game will probably have lighting.
Right. Yeah.
I think probably
but
won't look so brick-y because they
Ye-
were just trying to fully recreate Kanto.
Honestly, Let's Go looks like a 3DS game that they changed over to Switch.
Yeah, it is just that level of fidelity, up-resed a bit, like with some slightly higher textures and no better geometry. But at the same time, that's more of a compliment to Sun and Moon that looked so fucking good that, like, the first time I saw
Yeah.
an emulator running that in a really high res, I
Yep.
nearly shit myself. Like, it was so
yeah, it's
fucking
like,
good.
why does this game run so badly? And then somebody's like, oh, the Pokemon in Sun and Moon have more polygons than Lightning, and Lightning returns 3. And I'm like, oh.
Man,
You see all those videos of people who hack and emulate the game to not have Pokemon outlines,
Yeah.
and then you look at how insane some of those Pokemon look.
Yeah. Real quick though, to get back to the point of what I was trying to say, I feel weird about, like, I like your idea of sequestering the motion controls to an easier mode because I feel weird about the nature of catching Pokemon in a mainline Pokemon game having the effectiveness of your ability to catch them being influenced
Yes.
by motion controls. I don't want that to be the most effective way. So I worry that if they implement motion controls, that because of the accuracy mechanic of the motion controls, they would actually boost the probability on something like that higher than it is on, just selecting Pokeball. And that would really frustrate me to constantly have to make the decision of, well, if I take the Joy-Cons off, I can do the motion control catching method, which would really help me with this fucking Zapdos that I've thrown 160 fucking Dusk Balls at. So I really don't want that. But
Yeah, I think they should introduce an option, but this is a Nintendo game, so it will have less options than I expect.
yes, that's correct. That's the most universal thing about Nintendo ever.
Also, there will be no post game because they're like, no, you're on your phone.
I hope this is the one to bring the post game back.
People play games less, so we have to make less content but charge you more.
Hey Bob,
hey, what's up?
do you want to go next with your miscellaneous premonitions?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So, like I said before, my main character was formerly part of the biker gang style enemy team.
Uh-huh.
So I figured
Yep.
this time around, you're gonna have your own motorbike sort of thing, and you get to actually customize it and play around with features like that. And then, because I feel like people like driving bikes and driving things in the Pokemon world. Like, you didn't really get
Yep.
that in.
That would be cool because they could give your bike could get upgrades for a lot of what HMs would normally do.
Right, and I even wrote down like I want to be able to turn into a jet ski.
That's actually a really good idea.
Instead of rock smash, you just smash you get like a cow catcher on the front of your bike and you just drive through the boulder.
That's much more interesting than me just going, yeah, they'll just do ride Pokemon again.
Yeah,
right, because
but
that's boring. At
it
this
is
point.
boring.
Yeah.
I think they'll do
Like a region specific thing that's like has its own identity in a way is a cool idea.
Yeah, it is.
Just reminding me of whatever the Pokemon Coliseum vehicle is.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
about that, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
not quite like that, but something similar.
Not as stupid as that, yeah.
Right? No. I also came up with some gimmicks. I feel like they basically straight up did Sentai show stuff before for like Z moves.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
the Z move motions are really based on that, and JoJo posing.
yes.
Yep.
So we may see Poke Armors where they literally like have a Meowth in a Common Rider style suit.
That'd be cool.
It'd be really dumb, but they would
Pikachu
do
armor.
it. Yeah, Pikachu armor.
I think the only direct Sentai thing was in Black and White with the Hollywood equivalent where
Yep. Oh, man, that was so
Sabrina
good.
pops up to be the evil queen of the show.
Yeah, did you get... Oh, wait, that was a 5th gen version 2, wasn't it? So
Oh,
Bob
I still-
didn't get to
yeah,
do that.
I still didn't need to play version 2.
There's like a movie studio.
Yeah, Poke
thing,
Studios.
And a few of the gym leaders were actors.
It's so good because you get to say what dialogue your dude says in the middle of this
It's also
action
really
sequence.
early in that game, too.
Yeah, they throw that out up front, just like that area Pokedex, and I was like, damn, this is like adding a lot of stuff compared to your average like third release.
You know, if Gen 8 is bad, maybe I'll just go buy that and play it.
What is?
If Gen 8 is bad, maybe I'll just buy that and
You'll
play
go
it.
back to 5th gen version 2.
Yeah.
That'll be your Avenging My Youth Let's Play series.
Get in on that world tournament they added to that game.
It'll still cost $40 because it's Nintendo.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely right. But the Pokemon World Tournament is fucking hype.
And
That
then
thing is so
yeah,
cool.
it is.
My last gimmick is very cursed.
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go.
Pokemon Fusions.
Pokemon Fusions?
Yes.
Pokemon Fusions. It's the worst thing ever, but it's
Please.
also the most marketable thing. Imagine your Pikachu could combine with anything else.
Okay, so it's
That's
just
not
Pikachu combining with everything.
See,
It's not even other things combining with other things. It's just Pikachu. What if there was
Makes it cursed.
What if yeah, that's pretty fucking cursed, Bob. What if it's a Meowth Pikachu? What if it's a Raichu Pikachu?
What if it's a hacks you Pikachu?
What if it's a Goodra Pikachu?
so this one would require somewhere in the realm of 36,000 new models.
No. There's only going to be like probably 10 or 20 of these fusions.
Bob, you need to say
So
phrases
it's like by egg group.
I'm not an insane
Maybe
man like
like this-
KZ.
I mean, even by
Maybe-
egg group, that would be like 80.
What if you just change every model in the game but add the Pikachu blush thing and like a little tail at the end, and that's your fusion?
I'm okay
Oh,
with
I
this.
definitely think they'll keep in styling your starter.
I want a blushing Onyx. That's
I want to get an Eevee, and I still want it to go, yeah, boy, whenever I pet it.
yeah.
Yes, now we're going to have to do individual releases for every single Pokemon at some point, so everyone has full voice acting eventually.
So do you have
that's
any?
how that's gonna work.
Do you have any premonitions other than that, Bob?
No, those are my main ones. I ended on the most horrifying.
Yeah. My stuff's really tame compared to that because I don't sit there and go, how can I slip more of my fucking nightmares into my content? My content is mostly me traveling through
I need to
nightmares.
stop looking at this pizza.
Yeah, no, the pizza's fucking intense. I've tabbed out of there. I can't
That's been looking at me this entire time.
with its eyes. It knows what it's doing.
I shouldn't have opened it back up.
No, don't look at the pizza or the light bulb. Just don't. Okay, so the main thing for me, like gimmick-wise with this new game, I think what's going to happen is 8th gen is actually going to, by default, it's possible there's an easy mode, but I don't expect it, but it's possible. I think by default, it will be one of the hardest generations, if not the hardest generation so far. And the way they're going to counterbalance this is that, much like Pokemon Let's Go, it's going to have the co-op mechanic, and it will properly work where somebody can join someone else's campaign to join them along for their stuff, but with their own Pokemon.
That would be
Dark
really
Souls.
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like when 5th gen tried to do that, but it was fucking weird and garbage.
It'd be like Fable 2.
It would be,
I didn't even know that was a thing in 5th gen.
5th gen
I never
has a-
even heard
5th
anybody
gen-
mention this ever.
So 5th gen has a really weird feature where you cross over into the other person's world, and I have no idea what you're supposed to do there. It's one of those endgame 5th gen features where you look at it and you go, how do you work?
You can
like
you
Black
and the other
City.
person can stare at each other.
Yeah, I think that's called the Intralink system.
Oh man, I remember doing that. I was doing that once, and then being like, "What now?"
Yeah, we were like, what the hell's going on? What is this? But yeah, it was called Intralink. It's a really fucking weird thing. Ugh. So yeah, I think it's going to be one of the hardest Pokemon games to date, but it's going to have proper multiplayer in as much as your friend can join you on your journey. He controls from his Switch, but it's in your story mode. And there's a button to sort of teleport to you, kind of like Pokemon Let's Go. So it's like the co-op in Let's Go, but each person gets to use their own system. Whereas in Let's Go, you just join as a second player controller, and when you get into a battle, a second Pokemon comes out, and then you both get to throw Pokeballs. This is going to be different in that it's just going to be your friend and you. And your friend's really just there to get experience. Like, he's not going to be... Well, actually, maybe you could catch Pokemon from your friend's region. That would be really
That'd be
cool.
a good way to use the multiple versions thing. Like,
yeah, it would.
instead of just trading, you go travel in their version.
Reminds me of that Animal Crossing thing.
Also, it would tie into KZ's premonition about them focusing more on double battles.
Exactly. When he was saying that, I was like, "Oh yes, hell yes."
So now you have 12 potential Pokemon instead of 6.
Yeah, they can use it sort of as we know that that's an older demographic right now just because we have a new platform and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Although, who knows, considering how well the Switch sold in December.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Switch is doing insanely well. Since the Wii stopped having an attach rate for software at some point pretty quickly, the Switch is like one of the best performing Nintendo.
You got a PhD.
The Switch has like a ridiculously insane attach rate that
Yeah.
puts everything else to shame.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If you buy a Switch, you're buying like half the games put out for it.
Every
Yeah.
Nintendo platform has like a ridiculous attach rate compared to everything else.
But it's because of the quality of the software. Like, you can't really say every Microsoft game they released is polished and has good replay value. Whereas you
You
can,
can't say Microsoft has released a game.
yeah, well, ugh.
Crackdown, it's coming.
It hasn't come out yet. Doesn't count. Could still
Doesn't
be
count.
canceled.
Sea of Thieves came out.
It was
Very
real
polished.
polished and it had a lot of gameplay.
I think it did. I think.
A thing launched with that title. You are correct. But yeah, that's my major gimmick I thought would happen in that game. Another premonition I have for 8th gen Pokemon is if the region is not influenced by Germany, that it might be influenced by Russia. And as such, we're replacing the Kahunas with Czars, because I think that would be really fucking dope.
The enemy team is just the KGB.
Yeah, exactly. I was really torn on which of them to do, but when I started looking into it, I'm like, I need to draw a moss-covered telephone booth with a giant arm.
There's a whole area of the game that's just had like a legendary destroyed it, and it's supposed to be Chernobyl.
I think we have some pretty good premonitions here, but you know what? I'm not the audience, and the audience gets to decide. Be sure to check the description to see where you can vote on who had the best premonitions. We'll see you guys some other time for Gamer Premonitions.
Hopefully, we won't have to make as much shit up.
You made 5 times as much shit as you needed to. Thank you for listening to this episode of Gamer Premonitions. Series like this are only possible via the support of our patrons, so if you enjoyed it, consider becoming one of those. You can find more stuff from KZ Excellent over at kzexcellent.com and Mr. Feel at his Twitter account, Mr. Feel's Wild Ride. There are links in the description below, and don't forget to go vote on who had the best premonitions. The executive producers for the months of January 2019 are Fitz Pover, Nicholas Cameron, Ely Boyles, Brendan O'Sullivan, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Danny Richardson, Dwyzart, and Wadonis. Thanks, everybody. And also, these guys, all their names are gone. If you want to help us make more videos, go over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today. This is a really catchy song.